Good morning. Welcome to Wake Up with the Early Nerd Live. I'm Steve, your host, the Early Nerd. And as always, I'm talking quietly because if we wake up Mrs. Early Nerd, then we're all in trouble. Today's Saturday. Yay. It's Memorial Day weekend, I think. I'm not quite sure, so if I'm wrong, don't eviscerate me over the internet. Um, please. Thank you. uh, Today, we're going to talk about Roger Waters of Pink Floyd, the bass player singer. For those of you that are familiar with Pink Floyd, if uh, if you're not familiar with Pink Floyd, then I suggest you get familiar because Pink Floyd was an amazing band. They produced a lot of great albums. You know, The Wall being probably their most famous. Now, um, The Wall was an interesting album. It dealt with a lot of interesting themes, including National Socialism, uh, and its spread through Europe at the time. And well, give it a listen. Watch the movie. They actually did a movie along with the soundtrack. There there's a song in the movie that the only place you can hear it is the movie. It's called "When the Tigers Broke Free," and it's the first song in the movie. But so, anyways, Roger Waters had a concert in Germany recently, and he wore a uniform that was reminiscent of World War II Germany. I'm going to try to not say the word as hard as I can because I don't want to get banned or anything like that. Because, um, so I'm going to read this article. This is from the New York Times. Berlin police investigate Roger Waters after he wore a wartime Germany style costume at a concert. Uh, there is an image showing the uniform that he wore. It's basically a long black trench coat with black t-shirt, black pants, and he has a red armband around his arm with instead of the symbol that is so commonly associated with said movement, for lack of a better way to put it. Theirs was crossed hammers. Okay. Now, the German police are investigating Roger Waters, a founder of the band Pink Floyd, who has long been critical of Israel after he performed in Berlin last week wearing that costume like the one he used to critique fascism in The Wall. Mr. Waters, who has made anti Israel statements in the past that many have said cross a line into anti Semitism, has successfully fought two attempts by German courts to block him from German concert venues in the past. The investigation is focused on the costume Mr. Waters wore during a rendition of the 1979 Pink Floyd song In the Flesh from their seminal album The Wall, in which a rock star imagines himself as a fascist dictator. Similar staging was featured in the 1982 movie Pink Floyd The Wall, featuring Bob Geldof. For those of you who don't know who Bob Geldof was or is, he hasn't passed, so he's very much an is. He was part of the band called the Boomtown Rats, and he was also um, instrumental in the whole um, Band Aid, uh, Live Aid thing that went on in the 80s. Um, he does a lot of charity work. I mean, I don't know him personally, but as far as I'm concerned, I think he's a pretty cool guy. During parts of the concert in Berlin on May 17th and May 18th, Mr. Waters wore a black trench coat with epaulets and a red armband, according to the videos posted to social media, flanked by men dressed in costumes that evoked stormtroopers. He shot a prop machine gun into the audience. Mr. Waters has worn similar costumes at concerts outside of Germany for many years for the routine, which he has called satire. The Berlin authorities will have to determine to what extent the display of the imagery is protected by artistic freedom of expression. In Germany, displaying said symbolism, uh, like the symbol and or SS regalia justifying or downplaying the Holocaust and anti-Semitic acts are illegal. Artistic freedom of expression is not a license to incite hatred, wrote Nicholas Potter, a researcher with the Amadeo Antonio Foundation in Berlin, a group that tracks neo-Nazism, right-wing extremism, and anti-Semitism in Germany in an email exchange. Artistic freedom is also often used as an argument to express anti-democratic or hateful views, including anti-Semitic ones. But that doesn't always mean it's applicable. The context is crucial, he added. Mr. Potter attended one of the Berlin shows and wrote about it on the Foundation's news blog. Mr. Waters initially agreed to an interview with the New York Times about the investigation, but then declined. A representative wrote, "We are reluctant to comment if the intention is to further sensationalize this fabricated news story." A Berlin spokesperson said investigators would present their findings to the Berlin state's attorney within the next 3 months. The state's attorney will decide whether to indict Mr. Waters. Mr. Waters is a vocal proponent of BDS, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Movement, which pushes foreign governments, businesses, and performers to cut ties with Israel until it ends its occupation of the territories it captured in 1967, among other demands. Mr. Waters, at past concerts, has included a floating balloon representing a flying pig, which featured the Star of David. He defended that action, saying in 2013 on Facebook that, like it or not, the Star of David represents Israel and its policies and is legitimately subject to any and all forms of nonviolent protest. In a Facebook post on Saturday addressing the controversy around his German concerts, he criticized German lawmakers who condemned BDS, saying they had enshrined a recommendation to the German people to stand by silent and indifferent to the institutionalized murder of the Palestinian people by a tyrannical racist regime, which he said was the state of Israel. On giant display boards at the concert, the name of Anne Frank, one of the most readily recognizable victims of the Holocaust, during which the regime at the time killed more than 6 million Jews, was juxtaposed next to the name Shireen Abu Akleh, I'm guessing that's right, a Palestinian American television correspondent who was shot by Israel Defense Forces during a raid into the West Bank last year. On Wednesday morning, Israel's foreign ministry posted on Twitter, "Good morning to everyone but Roger Waters, who spent the evening in Berlin desecrating the memory of Anne Frank and the 6 million Jews slain in the Holocaust." On Wednesday, the Simon Wiesenthal Center publicly called on the German authorities to investigate the concert in Berlin. "There are few performers whose anti-Israel vitriol can match that of Waters," the center wrote in a statement. Despite his protests to the contrary, Waters has for years crossed the line between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. Any charges stemming from the concert would come as Germany faces a more general debate about the rise of anti-Semitism in the country 78 years after the end of the Holocaust. In addition to an overall increase in the number of anti-Semitic crimes reported in the country, there were wide-ranging discussions after a group of leaders of cultural institutions published an open letter decrying not just BDS, but also parliamentary resolution that declared BDS inherently anti-Semitic, and an art installation featuring anti-Semitic characters at the Documenta Art Festival in Kassel last year led to another round of soul-searching among cultural elites. The city of Frankfurt tried to stop Mr. Waters from performing at the Frankfurter Fest Hall this coming Sunday, a concert venue partly owned by the city. In November 1938, thousands of Jewish men were taken to the arena after the night of pogroms known as Kristallnacht, before being shipped off to the camps. But a judge in Frankfurt backed Mr. Waters, who had filed an emergency injunction against the city on Monday, citing the constitutional right to artistic freedom and the fact that there was no evidence that Mr. Waters would break the law. In March, the city determined that it could legally not back out of a contract with the musician for a show which he played at the Olympic Stadium there last week. Instead, the city decided to allow organized protests outside the venue the day of the concert. Now, I have kind of mixed feelings about this for a couple of reasons. Now, everyone is entitled to their opinion. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, but nobody necessarily wants to hear from it. You know what I'm saying here? Um, I mean, you are allowed to have your own opinion about things, and due to freedom of speech, you are allowed to say it. Now, I'm an old man, obviously. I mean, look at me, I'm an old man, and I am of the mindset that I may not like what you have to say, but I will defend your right to say it. Um, and I don't necessarily believe in backlash due to what you say, because to me, it's like cancel culture. Cancel culture. I don't think that's right. You know, just because somebody says something that you don't like, you get offended. And then you're allowed to just ruin that person's life because you don't like it. Well, who put you in charge? That's how I feel about that, and that's enough on that subject because I'm not going to go there anymore. Remember, I try not to be opinionated, so I'm not going to be. Now, When I watched The Wall in the past, um, I understood that what what was going on in that movie was more like a uh, a history lesson than anything else. Um, I I can't really explain it because it's been so long since I've seen the movie, but I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. So go back and watch the movie for yourself and see what it's about, and listen to The Wall. Um, Basically, it starts with a character named Pink Floyd, who was a child during World War II, whose father was killed in battle, and it's kind of the resulting thing. Now, to me, it brought to light and criticized the skinhead movement and the supremacist movement that was kind of prevalent throughout Europe during that time. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. The world is a lot different now than it was back then, and people aren't so quick to understand the the nuances of of things. A lot of people are real quick to take things out of context and things like that, or to just not understand. You know, they take everything at face value, and so of course they get offended by it. They don't see the underlying context or nuances behind it, and so I don't know. Everyone is free to formulate their own opinion about that. Um, I I personally, don't have one because I'm trying to stay away from all things like that. Uh, I respect everyone. I love everyone. I don't care who you are. You know, I really don't. And I just want everybody to succeed in life and be happy. I mean, that's what anyone wants, right? So, with that being said, uh, that's all I'm going to talk about on that subject. Today is Saturday, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Saturday game is tonight. I will take notes. And for those of you that are invested in the Saturday game story, tune in tomorrow to catch episode 3. But in the meantime, always remember, whether you're going to work on this Saturday morning or whether you're going anywhere, be safe, be careful out there. Remember, always, if you like what I do, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, share the video, share the channel on your Facebook and other social media sites you may prescribe to. I myself am on Twitter, um, the Early Nerd, at Early Nerd Live, and I do try to post there kind of semi regularly. I don't spend a whole lot of time on Twitter or really on social media. Period. I do have an Early Nerd Facebook page. Um, I think there's a link in the channel somewhere. Check it out, and you know, spread me around like butter. I'd appreciate it. Um, but always remember, Early Nerd loves y'all. Early Nerd loves everybody. I'm You know, early nerd loves everybody. So, sorry, a little bit of pain there. Still kind of hurting a bit, but I'll be all right. Um, like I said, be safe, be careful, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye bye now.